What is the first condition of equilibrium in statics?
The sum of all forces acting on a body must equal 0, sigma F equals 0.
What is the second condition of equilibrium in statics?
The sum of all moments about any point must equal 0, sigma M equals 0.
What is a free body diagram, FBD?
A sketch of a body isolated from its surroundings showing all external forces and moments acting on it.
What is a statically determinate structure?
A structure where all unknown reactions can be found using the equations of equilibrium alone.
What is the difference between a roller support and a pin support?
A roller provides one reaction force, normal to surface. A pin provides two reaction forces, horizontal and vertical.
Define the moment of a force about a point.
M equals F times d, where F is the force magnitude and d is the perpendicular distance from the point to the line of action.
What is a couple in statics?
Two equal, opposite, and non-collinear forces that produce a pure rotational effect, moment, with no net translational force.
What is the centroid of a body?
The geometric center of an area or volume, the point where the body would balance perfectly if supported there.
What is the moment of inertia, second moment of area?
A geometric property I equals integral y superscript 2 d that measures a cross-section's resistance to bending.
What is the parallel axis theorem?
I equals I underscore c plus adds superscript 2, where I underscore c is the moment of inertia about the centroid, a is area, and d is the distance between axes.
What is Newton's first law of motion?
A body remains at rest or in uniform motion unless acted upon by a net external force.
What is Newton's second law of motion?
The net force on a body equals its mass times acceleration, F equals ma.
What is Newton's third law of motion?
For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, F2 equals minus F2.
Define linear momentum.
The product of mass and velocity, P equals mv. It is a vector quantity.
State the work-energy theorem.
The net work done on a body equals the change in its kinetic energy, W underscore net equals delta Ke equals 1/2 mv2 superscript 2 minus 1/2 mv superscript 2.
What is the impulse momentum theorem?
The impulse, force times time, equals the change in momentum, F delta T equals delta, mv.
What is the difference between kinetics and kinematics?
Kinematics describes motion without regard to forces. Kinetics relates forces to the resulting motion.
Define angular velocity.
The rate of change of angular displacement, omega equals d theta slash dt, measured in rad slash s.
What is centripetal acceleration?
Acceleration directed toward the center of a circular path, a underscore c equals v superscript 2 slash r equals omega superscript 2r.
What is D'Alembert's principle?
By adding an inertial force minus ma to a dynamic system, it can be analyzed as if in static equilibrium.
State the Zeroth law of thermodynamics.
If two systems are each in thermal equilibrium with a third system, they are in thermal equilibrium with each other.
State the first law of thermodynamics.
Energy cannot be created or destroyed. For a closed system, delta U equals Q minus W, change in internal energy equals heat added minus work done.
State the second law of thermodynamics, Clausius' statement.
Heat cannot spontaneously flow from a colder body to a hotter body without external work.
State the second law of thermodynamics, Kelvin-Planck statement.
No heat engine can convert all absorbed heat into work. Some heat must be rejected to a cold reservoir.
State the third law of thermodynamics.
The entropy of a perfect crystal approaches zero as the temperature approaches absolute zero, 0 K.
Define enthalpy.
A thermodynamic property defined as H equals U plus PV, representing internal energy plus flow work.
What is entropy?
A measure of molecular disorder or energy dispersal in a system. ds equals delta Q underscore rev slash T.
What is the Carnot efficiency?
The maximum efficiency of a heat engine operating between two temperatures. Eta equals 1 minus T underscore cold slash T underscore hot, temperatures in Kelvin.
What is an adiabatic process?
A process in which no heat is transferred between the system and its surroundings. Q equals 0.
What is an isothermal process?
A process that occurs at constant temperature. Delta T equals 0.
Define specific heat capacity.
The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a unit mass by 1 degree. C equals Q slash M delta T.
What is the ideal gas law?
PV equals nRT, where P is pressure, V is volume, N is moles, R is the universal gas constant, and T is absolute temperature.
Define density in fluid mechanics.
Mass per unit volume, ρ equals M slash V, typically in kg slash M superscript 3.
What is Pascal's law?
Pressure applied to a confined fluid is transmitted equally in all directions throughout the fluid.
State Archimedes' principle.
A body immersed in a fluid experiences a buoyant force equal to the weight of the fluid displaced.
What is the continuity equation for incompressible flow?
AV equals A2V2, the product of cross-sectional area and velocity is constant along a streamline.
State Bernoulli's equation.
For steady, incompressible, inviscid flow P plus 1/2 ρ V superscript 2 plus ρ GH equals constant along a streamline.
What is the Reynolds number?
A dimensionless number ρ equals ρ VD slash mu that predicts whether flow is laminar or turbulent.
At what Reynolds number does pipe flow typically transition from laminar to turbulent?
The critical Reynolds number for pipe flow is approximately ρ is almost equal to 2300.
What is viscosity?
A fluid's internal resistance to flow, dynamic viscosity, mu, relates shear stress to velocity gradient, tau equals mu, dv slash dy.
What is the difference between laminar and turbulent flow?
Laminar flow has smooth, orderly layers, turbulent flow has chaotic, irregular fluctuations and higher mixing.
Define stress in materials science.
Force per unit area acting on a material, sigma equals F slash A, measured in pascals PA.
Define strain in materials science.
The ratio of deformation to original length, epsilon equals delta L slash L, dimensionless.
State Hooke's law.
Within the elastic limit, stress is proportional to strain, sigma equals E epsilon, where E is Young's modulus.
What is Young's modulus, modulus of elasticity?
The ratio of normal stress to normal strain in the elastic region, E equals sigma slash epsilon, measured in Pa.
What is Poisson's ratio?
The ratio of lateral strain to axial strain, nu equals minus epsilon underscore lateral slash epsilon underscore axial, typically 0.25 to 0.35 for metals.
What is shear stress?
Stress acting parallel, tangential, to a surface, tau equals V slash A, where V is the shear force.
What is the shear modulus, modulus of rigidity?
The ratio of shear stress to shear strain, G equals tau slash gamma.
What is the relationship between E, G, and nu?
G equals E slash 2, 1 plus nu, linking Young's modulus, shear modulus, and Poisson's ratio.
What is the yield strength of a material?
The stress at which a material begins to deform plastically, permanently, rather than elastically.
What is ultimate tensile strength, UTS?
The maximum stress a material can withstand before necking begins in a tensile test.
Define factor of safety.
The ratio of a material's failure strength to the actual applied stress, FOS equals sigma_failure/sigma_actual.
What is fatigue failure?
Failure that occurs under repeated cyclic loading at stress levels below the material's static ultimate strength.
What is creep?
Time-dependent, permanent deformation of a material under constant stress at elevated temperature.
What is thermal expansion?
The tendency of a material to change dimensions with temperature, delta L equals alpha L delta T, where alpha is the coefficient of thermal expansion.
What are the three modes of heat transfer?
Conduction, through a solid, convection, via fluid motion, and radiation, via electromagnetic waves.
State Fourier's law of heat conduction.
The heat flux is proportional to the negative temperature gradient, Q equals minus K, dt/dx, where K is thermal conductivity.
What is Newton's law of cooling, convection?
Heat transfer rate by convection, Q equals Ha, T_s minus T_infinity, where H is the convection coefficient.
State the Stefan-Boltzmann law for radiation.
Radiant heat from a black body, Q equals at, where sigma equals 5.67 times 10 W/m superscript 2K and epsilon is emissivity.
What is thermal conductivity?
A material property measuring its ability to conduct heat, K, in units of W/mK. Metals have high K, insulators have low K.
What is the overall heat transfer coefficient, U?
A single value combining conduction, convection, and fouling resistances, Q equals UA delta T.
Define a heat exchanger's LMTD.
Log mean temperature difference, LMTD equals delta T minus delta T2 slash ln delta T slash delta T2, used to calculate heat exchanger performance.
What is a keyway in machine design?
A slot machined into a shaft and hub to receive a key that transmits torque between them.
What is the purpose of a flywheel?
To store rotational kinetic energy and smooth out fluctuations in angular velocity during a machine cycle.
What is a gear ratio?
The ratio of the number of teeth, or diameters, of two meshing gears, GR equals N2/N equals omega/omega2.
What is the function of a bearing in machine design?
To reduce friction and support loads between moving parts, shaft and housing.
What is the difference between a journal bearing and a rolling element bearing?
A journal bearing uses a fluid film for sliding contact. A rolling element bearing uses balls or rollers to reduce friction.
What is a spring constant, stiffness?
The ratio of applied force to displacement, K equals F/delta, in N/m, higher K means a stiffer spring.
How do springs combine in series?
The equivalent stiffness is 1/K_EQ equals 1/K plus 1/K2 plus. Lower than any individual spring.
How do springs combine in parallel?
The equivalent stiffness is K_EQ equals K plus K2 plus. Stiffer than any individual spring.
What is the critical speed of a shaft?
The rotational speed at which a shaft's natural frequency of vibration matches the operating speed, risking resonance.
What is a power screw used for?
To convert rotary motion into linear motion, or vice versa, and transmit power, e.g., in jacks and presses.
What is the mechanical advantage of a lever?
The ratio of output force to input force, MA equals F_out/F_in equals D_in/D_out, distance ratio.
Define torque.
The rotational equivalent of force, T equals F times R, where R is the perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation.
What is the relationship between power, torque, and angular velocity?
P equals T omega, where P is power, W, T is torque, Nm, and omega is angular speed, rad/s.
What is the torsion formula for a circular shaft?
Tau equals Tr/J, where T is torque, R is radial distance, and J is the polar moment of inertia.
What is the flexure formula for beam bending?
Sigma equals mi/I, where m is bending moment, y is distance from neutral axis, and I is moment of inertia.
What is casting as a manufacturing process?
Pouring molten metal into a mold and allowing it to solidify into the desired shape.
What is forging?
Shaping metal using compressive forces, typically with a hammer or press, to improve grain structure and strength.
What is the difference between hot working and cold working?
Hot working is performed above the recrystallization temperature. Cold working is below it and increases hardness via strain hardening.
What is turning on a lathe?
A machining process where a workpiece rotates against a stationary cutting tool to produce cylindrical shapes.
What is milling?
A machining process using a rotating multipoint cutter to remove material from a stationary workpiece.
What is welding?
A fabrication process that joins materials by applying heat, pressure, or both to fuse them together.
What is the difference between MIG and TIG welding?
MIG-TIG-MAW uses a consumable wire electrode and is faster. TIG-GTAW uses a non-consumable tungsten electrode for more precise welds.
What is powder metallurgy?
A process of making parts by compacting metal powder in a die and then sintering, heating below melting point, to bond particles.
What is injection molding?
A manufacturing process where molten plastic is injected into a mold cavity under high pressure, then cooled to form the part.
What is hardness in materials science?
A material's resistance to localized plastic deformation, indentation or scratching, measured by Brunel, Rockwell, or Vickers tests.
What is the difference between brittle and ductile fracture?
Brittle fracture occurs suddenly with little plastic deformation. Ductile fracture involves significant plastic deformation before breaking.
What is an alloy?
A mixture of two or more elements, at least one being a metal, designed to achieve improved mechanical or chemical properties.
What are ferrous metals?
Metals and alloys that contain iron as the primary element, such as steel and cast iron.
What is the SI unit of force?
The Newton, N, defined as 1 kgm/s superscript 2.
What is the SI unit of pressure?
The Pascal PA, defined as 1 Newton per square meter.
What is the SI unit of energy and work?
The Joule, J, defined as 1 Nm.
What is the SI unit of power?
The Watt, W, defined as 1 J/s.
How many pascals are in 1 bar?
1 bar equals 100,000 pascals, 10 Pa.
How many pounds force are in 1 newton?
1 N is almost equal to 0.2248 lbf.
What is 1 horsepower in watts?
1 horsepower is almost equal to 745.7 W.
How do you convert Celsius to Kelvin?
K equals degree C plus 273.15.
What is 1 BTU in joules?
1 BTU is almost equal to 1055.06 J.
What is 1 atmosphere in pascals?
1 atm equals 101,325 pascals.